Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another live this morning. Another beautiful day here in Northern Ontario. Good to have you on with us. So I'll wait a minute or so and say hello to a few people. Somebody said to me yesterday, "You missed me. You always say hello to one person." Look, I can only tell you what I see on my screen. There, see Shelley. She's the first up. Good morning to you. That's what I see, okay? I guess if I scrolled some more, I would see more. Bonnie, how are you? Good to have you on this morning. Diane from Timmins. Love it. Esther. Esther, I think, is from Miami, right, Esther? Pierrette, good morning to you. And Michelle, how are you? Jerry, good friends from Nouveau Brunswick. And the Habs lost last night, and I'm disappointed, but they played a good game. Sorry, how are you? Andrea, Kathy, hold on a minute. Let me just, Pauline, I didn't want to miss you. Lorraine from BC, and Diane and Dave from Windsor. Good to have you. Rebecca from Calendar. Yes, Esther's from Miami, absolutely. Yolande, bonjour. Joanne, how are you? Okay, and Donna, I see. I don't want to miss people, but I do. Dan, and good morning, Dr. Martin from the training ground of the moon. Yes, Sudbury. That Sudbury was known for that. The training ground for the moon. It really was in the 60s and that, but Sudbury's beautiful. They planted, I think, over 1 million trees. It's really come back. Jean, how are you? And Hazel from Georgetown, Guyana, South America. Well, Hazel, good day to you. I don't think it's morning over there, right? What time would it be? Jean? And hold on, Nick is on with us this morning, 10 minutes. Nellie, and did I say hello to you, Donald? Donna, and Hazel, and Monica, and Diane, Judy, you guys are great. I thank you so much for coming on. You know what we're doing this morning? Ladies, this is for you, mostly. Your hair. Okay, we're going to do hair. Lise, Etta, I'm doing good, by the way. Thank you very much for asking. Good morning, Carmelina from Hamilton. And Keith, how are you? And Natalie and Sylvie. Okay, I'll say hi to the rest of you after, okay? I'll go on after and just give you a little message saying hello. Good morning to everyone. Let's talk about hair, everything hair. And I know I get ladies' attention when we talk about hair. Well, the Bible's very clear about hair. It says it's your glory. So, ladies, don't be shy and don't be ashamed. Your hair is very important, and I get it, okay? Men, yeah. Well, listen, I'll give you a statistic. By the way, it's normal, ladies, to lose about 100 hairs a day. So don't panic if you see a little bit of hair in your shower or whatever, okay? If it's coming out in clumps, that's different. But I remember I've got 3 daughters, okay? And between my wife and my 3 daughters, I remember our bathroom, my word, those girls, and it's my 3 daughters and my wife have they have beautiful hair, like really, I guess it comes mostly from the mother. It can't be from me. But even today, okay, because my girls are all in their 40s and they got beautiful hair. But I remember when they were teenagers, the hair in the shower and in the bathroom, and oh my word. So a little bit of hair loss, about 100 hairs a day, which seems like a lot, but it's not really a lot, okay? So let's talk about 6 reasons why you would lose your hair. You see, if someone came into the office and with hair loss, it wasn't always their primary reason for coming, although a lot of times it was. There's always a reason for hair loss, okay? So I'm talking about I'm losing about, more more hair than 100 little hairs a day that are being replaced all the time. Okay, let's go into 6 reasons for it. One of them, okay, I just want to get it right off the bat. Like, look, there is hereditary and genetics involved. Okay, so if mommy had very thin hair, you know, it's possible that that's what you inherited. Okay, but I'm not talking about thin hair. I'm talking about hair loss. Okay, so some of you have fine and you don't have, you know, maybe as much hair. That, you know, it could be hereditary, and, you know, what can you do about that? Well, you know, we'll get into some of the things you can do to really help with your hair. Okay, for men, okay, so Keith and the others out there, Dave and others, you know, if you lose your hair, it's men after 50%, 50% of them really start thinning out or get male baldness. Okay, so, you know, that shocked me when I was 50, because for me, you know, I always had a lot of hair, and you know, it started thinning out. You know, it's amazing. And I got a spot in the back of my head here that's thinned out. But for men, don't get too uptight. It's actually abnormal when you see a male over 50 with just you know, a real head of hair. Okay, because a lot of men just lose it. So let's keep the men out of the equation today and talk more about women's issues. Okay, because really, I'm aiming at them when I talk about. So one of them is hereditary. Let's talk about hormonal, because hormones can have a major effect. I want to go over a couple of them. They all have to do with the thyroid, but let's talk about that for a second. Okay, so here's where hair loss can happen fairly frequently after having a baby. So post-gestational hair loss. It's not that it's common, it can happen. Why is that? Well, you leave all your progesterone in the placenta, and you're not making, your ovaries are not making enough progesterone. If you don't make enough progesterone, it's, you know, you're making your estrogen, but you're not making enough progesterone. Remember, between estrogen and progesterone, I don't care how old you are, the day you start ovulating, estrogen makes you a woman, progesterone is pro-babies, and you need both to be equal. Where hormones take place is when there's an imbalance. Like when we say estrogen dominance, it's always in relationship to how much progesterone you are secreting. So postpartum, even postpartum depression, is hormonal. It's hormonal. Why? The balance between estrogen, progesterone. What happens? If your progesterone is not at the level it needs to be to balance out your estrogen, it slows your thyroid down. It slows the thyroid down. Here's another instance where there's hair loss. PCOS, PCOS. You know what PCOS is? Polycystic ovarian disorder. That is so common today. Why is there so much polycystic ovarian disorder? Two hormones. Too much estrogen and too much insulin. And this is why doctors will often prescribe metformin. Metformin is a diabetic drug, but they'll give it to women who have PCOS. And if you have PCOS, one of the things that happens, you're growing hair, but in the wrong places. Okay? PCOS, because it elevates your estrogen, you're elevating, ladies, your testosterone beyond. Look, you need a little bit of testosterone. It's just like men. We need a little bit of estrogen. It's normal. A little bit. But that's not our dominating hormone. Your dominating hormone, you don't want it, ladies, to be testosterone. You know why? Because you'll grow hairs on your chin. That's often PCOS, polycystic ovarian disorder. And your ovaries are secreting way too much estrogen. And insulin makes things grow. You see, I always talk about two things, even in breast cancer, in ovarian cancer, in uterine cancer. Ladies, two growth hormones. Estrogen makes you a woman, and progesterone, insulin. Insulin is a growth hormone. When there's any obesity is a symptom. It's not the cause. Oh, I'm obese. Yeah. Why? Too much insulin. It's too much insulin. And sometimes too much estrogen. You're too much of a woman. And estrogen's job is to hold on to fat. So just understand that, okay? So, hormones. I'm actually going to come back to this in a sec, okay? I'll come back to it because there's other things that I want to talk about. Autoimmune disorder like Hashimoto's, again affecting the thyroid. Rheumatoid arthritis. They call it alopecia areata. This is when you lose chunks of hair in certain spots. You'll have a bald spot, ladies. That can be alopecia areata. That could be due to Hashimoto's. It could be alopecia areata is actually an autoimmune disorder. Now remember what, I think I said this yesterday, or maybe Monday when I was talking about autoimmune. The autoimmune always has a leaky gut component. Remember that. Autoimmune always has a leaky gut component. So lupus, Hashimoto's, Crohn's, psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis, all of these autoimmune disorders often that come with it is hair loss, okay? So it's important to find these things out. And, if you have an autoimmune, you might know already. A lot of people, though, they have all the signs of autoimmune, but they don't even know they have it. Here's another one. Can cause hair loss. High cortisol. Emotional stress. Stress, ladies, for you. When man is stressed, we don't get a lot of the symptoms women do. For men, stress, it can be very dangerous because it pours fire on inflammation, and that can attack our hearts. And men without a lot of symptoms sometimes will have a sudden heart attack because they've been under stress. And that inflammation is, where doctors are looking for cholesterol, I'm looking for inflammation. Because inflammation can damage blood vessels. The first thing that inflammation damages are blood vessels. So for men, that can be very, very dangerous, being under emotional stress. But for ladies, it often affects their hair. Because when your cortisol is too high, ladies, it does not allow the conversion of T4 to T3. T3 is what your thyroid needs to function properly. Your body, it's amazing, ladies. I've shown you this in the past, that you take out a teaspoon of T3 that you make in a year. But you don't want to be missing it. Because if you don't make that T3, see, oftentimes the doctor's only checking your TSH, your thyroid stimulating hormone. It's very, very, it's why most, not all doctors, of course, but most doctors miss the diagnosis of hypothyroidism. They miss it. Why? They're relying on the lab. The lab is everything to a doctor. It shouldn't be. They lose their instincts. If you have cold feet and cold hands, ladies, and you're lethargic, and you don't feel good, the thyroid, you've got an unexplained itch. The thyroid, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck. That's what my dad used to say about the thyroid. So, the lab, I know the labs are wonderful. And I used to train my staff, even in my office. Jeanette, Nicole, I trained them. Symptoms always trump the lab. Our lab that we get the lab test in, and the patient, if the patient had all these symptoms, I didn't care what my test showed me. I didn't. Not that I didn't look at them, but I was much more interested in how that patient felt. Much more interested in how that patient felt. So, hereditary, hormonal, autoimmune, emotional. Here's another one, drug-induced. Of course, we know about chemotherapy. Anybody that's ever gone through chemotherapy, the vast majority of them lose their hair. Well, that's chemotherapy. That's one of its side effects, right? But there's another one, contraceptives. Oral contraceptives. The problem with oral contraceptives, and ladies, listen, men have almost no right to talk about it, okay? But I think you're giving me permission to talk about contraception, oral contraception, right? Remember when the pharmaceutical companies are wonderful, okay? The problem is when you're taking oral contraceptives, it's horse's urine. Like, oh, doc, it's got estrogen in it. Yes, but it's got horse's estrogen in it. It's not human. It's horses. As my old friend, Dr. Fishman used to say, ladies, if you start eating hay, then take hormones from oral contraceptives, or even, when they give you, in your menopausal years or whatever, when they're giving you estrogen, remember, it doesn't come from human beings. It comes from horses' urine. And horses are about 10 times bigger than a woman. And so they can really mess up your body. There's a lot of side effects that don't often show up right away, but down the road. And this is one of them, hair loss. You know what I see today? I see so much more hair loss than I used to see. Incredible. Okay? Incredible. I just want to make sure my phone is not too hot. I didn't put my umbrella down. Let me just do that. I'm going to bring my umbrella up a little bit here. Turn it. But again, and I'm not telling you never to take oral contraceptives and your daughters or your granddaughters or whatever. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is be careful to the side effects, because a lot of times hair loss is drug-induced, and you wouldn't think it, you wouldn't know it, because no doctor is going to tell you that. But that can be a side effect of oral contraceptives. You know what? In 46 years of practice, did I ever see hair loss? Thousands of times. But I'm going to tell you something. over the last 20 years of my practice, I saw it much more frequently. It was a big issue because of hormones. Ladies, hormones. And even drug-induced was hormones, unless it was chemotherapy. But drugs, when I say drugs like oral contraceptive, even if it's progesterone, the UTI, it's not natural progesterone. It's horses' progesterone. And I'm very, very careful with that for sure. Okay, so now we've hit 5 of them. Drug-induced, autoimmune, hormonal, all of it is hormonal, and genetics, hereditary, okay? Now let's talk about the 6th one, and I'm gonna spend the rest of the time on this, because this is very, very, very important, and this is happening much more frequently today. Low protein intake. Low protein intake. Take a strand of your hair. You see that? You probably can. Okay, I shouldn't take too much off of this here because I can't afford to lose any. But ladies, listen, your hair is 99% protein. Protein. And in this day and age, and it's occurred over a period of time, starting in the 70s and much more going forward, not enough protein. Now there's 2 types of protein, right? There's 2 kingdoms that give you protein. The animal kingdom, eggs, meat, and cheese, and plant proteins. Are plant proteins good? Yes. But you know what's better? The animal protein. Why? Because the profile of the amino acids, the bioavailability of the protein is much higher in the animal kingdom than it is in the plant kingdom. This is one of my expressions. Popeye didn't get those muscles from spinach. He was lying on TV. You don't get muscles like that unless you're eating animal protein. Ladies, look at me. Look. See? You don't eat enough protein, and you don't eat enough animal protein. Ladies, you don't. Your hair needs it. Your body needs it. It needs a complete profile of amino acids, the building blocks of your body, amino acids, and you need it. So there, and that's one. So lack of protein in nutrition, that is so common today, especially in the younger generation. I feel sorry for the younger generation because every day, they're being bombarded, indoctrinated in this vegetable culture, I call it. It's a vegetable culture. No, don't eat the animal. Anything that's got eyeballs, don't eat it. Guys, that's not true. It's not good for you. I feel sorry for the young people today who are being indoctrinated. Go online, and how many people think the way I think or talk the way I talk? Many of my colleagues, gurus, they're drinking the Kool-Aid of vegetables over top. They bringing it over top of the animal kingdom. It's not true. You take up basics in nutrition. And I'm going to be teaching that nutrition course. It's coming. The book just took me longer than I had anticipated. So all I'm saying is, you know me, you know where I come from, you know how I talk every day. Are you waiting for me to change my mind? I won't. I've been consistent in 46 years of practice. I've never come off. Okay? So protein one. But here's another one, ladies, especially for you. Iron. Iron. Look, there's not enough iron in the plant kingdom for a mouse. There's iron in spinach. There's iron in kale. But it's not hemi-iron or heme iron. I call it hemi, Tony Jr. calls it heme iron. And he's right. It's supposed to be pronounced heme iron. Heme. You get it in vitamin S, steak. That's where heme iron is. You can't get heme iron. It's not in the plant kingdom. It's not there. You want to know why young people, young ladies, they're losing their hair? They have an iron deficiency. They don't realize it. They don't realize it. And by the way, just so I get this out of the way, if you have too much iron, your liver you got fatty liver. That's from insulin. Okay? Because some people get too much iron. It's not that they're eating too much iron. It's because they're eating too many carbs and too much sugar. And their liver is full. The parking lot is full. And that's what can give you hemochromatosis, which is too much iron. But the opposite is true for most women, and especially the young generation. I have to convince people to eat steak. Oh, Doc, I read online the red meat's not good for you. Well, I don't care where you read it. It ain't true. It's an essential vitamin, vitamin S, on the Martin Clinic hit parade. You need it. Low protein. Low zinc. Zinc has got a lot of ink, doesn't it? Over COVID. What zinc does? They were treating people with hydrochloroquine, right? And the malarial drug with zinc. Didn't work without the zinc. So when you got a doctor talking about how they used it, and it's controversial because they want to give you $1,000. I covered this in a podcast. If you want to go back, you'll just follow the money, okay? Because it's incredible how there's so much money in politics. It's incredible, okay? There's so much lobbying, but they said, like, they really vilified a malarial drug, okay, that's been used for the last 50 years, hydrochloroquine. And, it's been around for years, and now the patent's off of it, right? So there's no money in it. It costs 65 cents, I think, for a dose of it, right? It's like the price of aspirin or whatever. It's cheap. But they have another drug that they think is better. At least they've been promoting it, and that's $1,000 a dose. Because it's a patent on it. I don't know. I like zinc. But zinc is found where? Zinc is found in what food? I'm waiting. Where's zinc found? You know, you don't have to take zinc as a supplement. You could. It's not going to hurt you. Well, don't take too much of it, but Zinc is good for your hair, but where is it found? In steak! Vitamin S! No wonder people get so sick when they don't eat steak. And you know, when I talk about steak, I'm talking hamburger, I'm talking roast beef, a little bit less than pork. But there's zinc in there. Guys, it's not in chicken. Zinc's not in chicken. And neither is B12. And you need B12 for good hair too, by the way. Okay? You need B12. B12 is such an essential vitamin. Forget the B complex. Eat your Bs. If you eat eggs, meat, and cheese, you get a lot of Bs. But you get B12 too. You want to have healthy hair? B12. But this is one of the things, and ladies, okay, what is a perfect storm for your hair? Let me finish with this. What's a perfect storm for hair loss? Is a lack of protein, those amino acids, a lack of B12, a lack of zinc, a lack of iron, the heme iron, H-E-M-E, heme, or Hemi, like the Dodge Hemi engine. Heme iron. If you don't get that, plus, okay, so nutrition, hormones. Ladies, hormones. The thyroid. You got cold hands, cold feet. You got weight gain. You're tired. Look at the thyroid. And cortisol, the stress. Stress has a big effect. So hormones, remember, cortisol is a hormone. It affects your thyroid. Stress, too much estrogen compared to your progesterone. This combined with food, this is why when you do the reset, how many thousands of people have said, oh, my hair's better. Yes, because you're eating a nutrient-dense, it's got everything you need in the food. The proteins, the amino acids, the B12s, the zinc, the iron, the right iron that you need for a complete nutrition. So that's where I come from. Everything today, hair. Okay, so share this. Share this. Anybody you know that's got any issue with hair loss, give them some information on it. Like I said, I'm an information guy. I want to educate, educate, educate. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Constantly going over stuff. I'm a one-track mind, though, when it comes to food. You know that. Don't wait till I change. I won't change. I'm not going to go with the times. I'm not going to go with the agenda. I'm not going to go with even a lot of my colleagues. I won't do it because I listened to a guy on the radio the other day, a radio talk show, and he said, I'm right and they're wrong. I'm right and they're wrong. Okay. So tomorrow is question and answer Friday. So you got any questions you want to ask me, send them off to our staff and I'll cover it tomorrow. Okay. I'll do my best to answer every question tomorrow. I've finished my book. Not ready yet because it's at the publishers, okay? So, you know, they do their cleanup and their editing and blah, 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 but my job is done, okay? So that's coming to a theater near you, hopefully in September sometime. You know, I don't have a date yet, but I hopefully we will very soon. You're going to love this book. I mean it. And the courses on nutrition, if you want to be certified in nutrition, tell your friends that's coming, okay? We're just producing it, and that'll be coming in the fall, and we're really looking forward to that. Okay, so any questions? send them off. We'll talk to you tomorrow about them. God bless you. Love you. And I mean that. Talk to you soon.